Hey, Mark Anthony Lord, it's great to see you again.
I'm so happy to be here, truly. Thank you for doing what you do.
So, introduce yourself and then we'll get going.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I am Mark Anthony Lord, and I am a spiritual counselor. I'm actually a minister, also a New Thought minister. And I have worked for many years in treatment centers, providing workshops and individual one-on-one work around specifically the area of spirituality in recovery. It is what truly saved my life when I was about 25 years old and first got introduced to the 12-step programs. And by its own calling within me, it became my life's work to assist other people specifically around their spirituality, creating a healthy relationship with their higher power and growing in their own connection to their spirit. So that's what I love to do, and that's what we're here for.
I think that's such a great thing. We've talked on previous ones about, higher power and how many of us had a view that was really problematic, for us. So, how you've learned to shift that. And I know that was for me as well. I had to learn to shift that in recovery, and recovery gave me, a new understanding that was really critical, I think, to my recovery.
Yeah. I think that is one of the unfortunate impediments to the gifts of the 12-step program are people's really deep wounding around this thing called God or spirit or whatever. I mean, God is the most common word used and the word often used in the big book and in the program. But of course, the program makes it very clear as we understand God. So that's our focus. Our focus is to help you, 100% here to help you, the listeners, to expand your definition and your understanding of this thing called God so that it works for you. That's how simple I keep it.
So, in doing that, we're kind of sharing, we personally found a different understanding. So I really do invite questions, in the Q&A, but I know you help people on their spiritual journey. Can you share some of the things that you find to be roadblocks for people and how you help them start on a different path? I agree. Lots of people refuse to go to 12-step because it's religious and, all of that. And my heart goes out to them because that's what saved my life and gave me a different understanding. But, and I know that they just don't understand and are closed off to it. But so what are the roadblocks and how do you help?
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, that'll fill up our time. I really want to take a breath and actually let's take a breath together and do that. And then we'll get rolling. So just breathe in with me. And let's do that twice. A nice deep inhale. And exhale. So I do find that the most common roadblocks to the spiritual part of the 12-step program is, as we began to say, but we'll go into more detail, is just a complete misunderstanding of the higher power. So what is that binging? Do you know what that is?
I'm getting text message. I will mute myself. I apologize. It's me, not you. It's me. So.
That's okay. That's okay. You know how to do the 4-finger swipe from the right and turn that off?
No, but I'll go check it out.
I'll teach you another time. Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's dive into this conversation. The first step really talks about, we admitted we're powerless, which is the first step, and that requires nothing really more than an admission that there's something greater than your own sense of self that is running your life and controlling you. In our particular conversation here, sex, relationship addiction, and all the variations on that. But of course, there's lots of things that we become powerless over, from a bag of chips to binging on Netflix to video games. There's lots of ways that for people like me, who is an addict and self-defined and do have that disease, playing with some of these things can be just playing with them. But it's when they cross over the line and they become that which controls me. So obviously that's our first step. Our second step is where we came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. And so this is right there in step number 2, is where we immediately begin to bump up against this issue, which is like, wait a minute, what I believe in, or more importantly, what I was taught for a lot of us, is this external, outside, punishing, scorekeeping kind of a being. For many people, and I'm going to speak in generalities, but if you're listening in, discern what is in your conditioning. For many people, it was the white man in the sky with the big beard and the old guy who really was disappointed in us, or could be disappointed in us. You know, it's like the Santa Claus kind of God that was keeping score of, okay, you did all these good things, so now you're in my favor, but you did these bad things, and now you're outside of my favor. That kind of conditioning and understanding of our higher power is so broken. That is really the big broken equation. That there's a higher power or presence of whatever kind that has the ability to cast you off and to reject you. Now, for those of us who are struggling with addictions, in the throes of addiction, there are lots of behaviors and thoughts and choices that are quite shameful and, in the light of day, embarrassing and horrific. And so we're struggling with that which we're doing and that which we feel like, which is so broken and controlled by behaviors and ideas that we don't want to be, and yet they're here. So we've already got this pool of shame that we're swimming in. We've got all this secrecy and hiding, but then we've got this God who sees everything and is keeping score. It's just it's a really tough thing to try to reconcile. And what I've come to realize is it's not meant to be reconciled. It can't, for most of us, it's not about reconciling the addict with this kind of God. For many of us, it's having to redefine God, to really throw that old design that we were taught out and then allow a new awakening of some other presence, the higher power. That is really what I believe the deep spiritual practice is and the work of the spiritual program. So the people bump up against not knowing how to redefine this presence, or being so conditioned in the negative concepts about higher power, about God, that it's like, how is this possible? Where do I begin? Like it just becomes dipping a foot in, even just a foot in feels too hot. And so you pop back out. And then, there are people who find their way through the 12 steps without any sense of God concept, and they can be agnostic or atheist, and that's definitely possible. But there still has to be, in my experience and everyone I've worked with, some kind of higher power, and many people think, be it a tree, be it a frog, be it the group consciousness, be it of the 12-step program. There's lots of ways to reconcile this problem or to solve. There's lots of ways to solve the higher power problem, but it does require moving through some resistance. It does require facing the distaste and the distrust that lives inside of us around higher power. But here's the issue. What I've come to know and see is that your addict's going to go, hey, stay distasteful, stay distrusting. It works in my favor. Yeah. So that's the issue, is like, if we don't find some way through this higher power problem, my experience is that the addict has more fuel to pop up, be it tomorrow, be it a month down the road, be it 5 years down the road. I don't know, but I just seen enough that if this problem isn't somehow figured out, it's that idea like the addicts doing push-ups in the corner kind of a thing. And this is a real easy portal to move through. Another analogy that I really like is because we don't have to figure it all out. The mind and one is like, well, what about war? Well, what about all these horrible things in the world? What kind of God would allow poverty or children to be sexually abused? Our mind can go so far out. And that's where I've got to go, whoa, 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 whoa. Today, that doesn't serve anything. I don't have the answers to all of those problems today. And it's sort of a way for me to bypass addressing the problem I do have today. It's like my issue is working on staying sober today and leaning into a higher power that can help me do that. And then tomorrow, and then the next day, and then when enough of that adds up, perhaps your higher power will lead you into bigger ideas or have you address larger concepts. But I just keep saying, not today. That's sort of the way that I say it. So for today, my analogy is my God concept. I think of it as a hula hoop. And that hula hoop has to be bigger than any problem I'm facing today. That's all I need. Like if my addiction is this big, then my hula hoop just has to be larger than that. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, like eventually your hula hoop will come larger and larger as you trust it with what is here today. And what's here today for many of us, which is more than enough, is how do I begin getting sober? How do I begin becoming free from an addiction that is taking my soul away, So that's what we're about. That's what I'm about. I'm about build a higher power hula hoop. I just named it that. Build your higher power hula hoop a little bigger than your problems today. And begin to learn how to lean into that. And they're also, what's required, I believe, is a large willingness to continue to give up any God concept that isn't loving and be willing and open for a new one to formulate. Because my experience is your spirit, which in my understanding doesn't have an addiction. Your spirit, this higher power, think of it as like a beam of light that's in the center of who you are. And that beam of light isn't suffering. That beam of light is actually the part in you that will begin guiding you out. Like it knows you're the solution. It is the solution. It knows how to guide you to take the next step. Now, this is where it gets challenging. That beam of light inside of you is going to find you through fellow addicts. It's going to speak to you through your sponsor. It's going to speak to you at a meeting. You know what I mean? As you build the connection to this higher power and you allow it to reveal itself, that's where you go, oh, that meeting just opened me up to something. I feel better about myself. When you feel better about yourself after a meeting or conversation or a phone call, to me, that's like, oh, my higher power connected me and helped me to hear or see something that's a part of my solution. So that was a lot going on there, Tammy. I always like to go, what did you hear? What am I missing?
Well, no, I love that. And I was thinking, the addict is like putting the black bag over the top of the light, it's like, no, you stay down, you stay down. And I think that we're really able to compartmentalize and disconnect from that, when we're filled with shame and guilt and our addict is so prevalent. I was thinking too, when you're talking about, we have to be willing to, put aside we have to be willing to let go of our preconceived notions. But I also thought, there are so many people, like I grew up in a, let's call it a strong religious, so different than spiritual, religious community. And it was, so like there's exterior forces, not just the internal from me and my addict, but there's external forces of God concept. And so, coming to a place where I was willing to examine that and see how it was for me was challenging, because if I grew up with this is, what we learned. And so to be willing to go, maybe they don't have all the answers for what is true for me, and find that place was scary, freeing, and really helped me. Like I love my higher power, God, as I understand him now. And I was probably scared of God, previously, because, I sure didn't measure up, like you use this analogy of Santa Claus. It's like, I was on the naughty list, too much of the time. Even if I was mostly good, there was always that, demerit, because like I did something, fighting with my sister, check, so like you never could live up to, the expectation of, I hate using the word sin. I honestly, I personally just, I think because it was so ingrained in me, I still rebel at that, but, I just, character defects work way better for me. And sure, I have plenty, but I also have learned that some of my character defects are also my character strengths, just, used in the wrong way. So like I've got this whole different approach to it. But the reality is my shame, I don't carry shame around. I have learned to own when, I could do things better. But it doesn't make me this terrible person and, without any merit, in myself. So I love the concept of God as a loving being, and just, it's like as a parent, I want what's best for my kids, as a grandparent, I want what's best for my grandkids. And that concept of like, I'm here cheering for you. I see that you didn't do it so great that time, but I'm here for you. I like that. That works for me, whether it works for somebody else. So, but it was a journey, and being willing to strip a layer off at a time and just kind of look at it and go, is this true for me? And some of it was, and actually there was a lot that I kept, but there was a lot that I let go of, the shaming, judgmental, all of that, that God's going to get me kind of thing, just didn't serve me or really feel true for, what I ended up ultimately believing. So.
Yeah. I think, no, I know one of my greatest gifts is I'm 1000% certain that my higher power does not judge me. There's absolute love for me. And I do believe that it is, and I think we've all heard the positive sides of this kind of conversation, or this unconditionally loving. Well, I was raised in a very conditional loving household. I was raised by conditionally loving parents who were doing the best they could. They were raised in conditions. And even the religion I was raised in was conditionally loving. So it's like, there's this unconditionally loving presence, but I don't have any reference points. Every reference point I have actually is conditional. So how do I bypass that or surrender? I'll get through that so that I can even begin contemplating unconditional love. I don't believe our human mind can really understand unconditional love. And I know the addict doesn't want anything to do with unconditional love, because that would make the addict dissolve in its sight. But what I do know is that I've spent enough time contemplating it, or even just accepting it, or even just saying it is. Like, there is an unconditionally loving presence for me. And part of that work, like you mentioned, over time, part of the work in spirituality and recovery is the repetition just whether we're doing affirmations, and that's, whether we just keep on keeping on or keep showing up for those meetings. This is where the consistency and the discipline is what gives us quite an amazing breakthrough, over time. I have tried more times than I can count to stop my sexual acting out or my addictive pulls or tendencies. And I can definitely hang my hat on, I of myself can't do this. So that's also a breakthrough point in there. That's the miracle. I think it's the first miracle place in the 12 steps is, oh, I can't. And there's lots of, you and I, Tammy, have heard the saying, perhaps some of you people here today have heard the saying that, oh shoot, no, it just left my mind. Okay, never mind. It'll come back to me in the right moment. But to really be in that place of, I can't change this, and to be in the pain of it. I know what I was going to say. Lots of people need the 12-step program, but that doesn't mean they come for it.
Right.
However that saying is said, there's lots of people that need this, but there's such a small percentage of those people that actually have some kind of a breakthrough. And very often it's in the pain of it that causes the opening, just the little bit of opening for light to our higher power to begin seeping through. I'll never forget mine, being in so much pain, living a lie in my early 20s, living with my then partner, boyfriend, and we're just fresh out of college, and I'm acting out like a crazy person, giving him diseases and then lying about them. It was the full-on insanity. And I'm a really nice, normal guy that walking down the street, I'm just like everybody else. And I'm actually moving quickly at a young age into some success in my career at that time. So it's like this whole double life. I'm living this external thing that looks really good, but inside there is a demon that is controlling me, to be in so much pain that I finally picked up the phone and called a friend I hadn't spoken to in 5 years. I hadn't spoken to her in 5 years. Something inside me just said, call Tracy. And I called Tracy. I had no clue that when I even started to find some words to define what was going on with me, she had already been in recovery.
Oh, wow.
She could say the words I couldn't speak. She is the one that helped me get to my first 12-step meeting. Now, I consider that a miracle moment that happened because of so much pain that I had to do something. So I tell that story to say that's where the moment of something else happening, some greater power that is for me. That was my experience. And that's how I refer to it now. It's like something within me, around me, I don't know, something or the pain was so bad that something happened where a solution started, and it was a breakthrough moment. I'm forever grateful for that moment, because again, lots of people need that moment, but for whatever reason, it isn't happening. If you're here listening, somehow that moment has occurred for you. If you're here, if you're in recovery, if you're dabbling in recovery, if you're whatever way you're playing with this, something within you is pulling you that there's something else for you. That's the place where it all begins.
I agree. And I had it's the same thing. I had a massive car accident. I'm in the hospital. I don't remember this, but my parents have told me that I was like, I can't keep living like this. I need help. And they seized on that, because the next day I'm justifying, going, oh, I learned my lesson. I won't do that again. I would have. I didn't have tools not to. And They knew one person in our small little town that was in recovery, so I just got chills. Just like you, the only person to reach out to, they reached out to this person, and he said, get her in treatment, and they did. And, they didn't listen to my, my little addict that was my big addict that was going, oh, I won't do that again. Like I went to treatment thinking, I just did recreational drugs. I learned, and that's to me, that's the gift of treatment too, is that like they help me have better understanding. They help me have tools so that when I came out, I had opportunities to use those tools instead of going right back to my addiction. But I was thinking too, when you were talking, earlier about, oh shoot, now I had one of those moments. I just had it escape. Oh darn it. Well, oh well.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So,
I know what I was going to say. That I get calls all the time from people that are in crisis, and it's really bad. And then I give them information on all the resources, the free resources, but also on treatment. And they go, okay, I'm going to think about this first mistake. And like I try to follow up with them. Well, it's not that bad. And I go, oh, that's the craziness of the addiction, is that we convince ourselves that it's really not that bad. So grateful that you called Tracy and you listened, because you could have just gone, well, yeah, I'm not like you or whatever, and I'm not going to a meeting, but you listened, and she was able to help intervene in that crack.
Well, and there was even more, just to extend it for a moment. So I went to my first meeting. I'm 25 years old, 24, 25. I can't remember, but 25. And I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds who it's like they look so
ancient.
old.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to be them. So, and I have the thought, I'll just get this fixed and get out of here. But even that at least got me back to the next meeting. So I can string together something that was connecting me and moving me forward. And my experience, my personal experience, which is why I do what I do, is that something grew profoundly large until it became the main focus of my life. That doesn't happen for anybody, and it's not meant to. You know what I mean? Not everyone needs to become a total God weirdo like me, or whatever you want to call it. But we all, in recovery, to get back to the basics, just need whatever the relationship is for you, so that you can begin experiencing whatever sobriety is for you. And then if you keep staying down that path, hopefully you're going to have the gifts of the program, the experience of your life becoming more than you could ever have imagined. And that is what I have today. That's what I want to pass on to as many people as I can. My life, one of the phrases I use is, my life is not my own. It's not my life. I of myself, I'd be gone. Like, I'm very clear. My life in my hands would have ended years ago. And when I'm in touch with that, then I begin to go, look, I'm not driving this car anymore. Like I will, like Tammy, drive it into a pole or wherever you drove it into, and just crash it. So, give the keys to the higher power, give the steering wheel, and then life starts working in really, really some very miraculous and beautiful ways. I want to move into another topic for our month, but I do want to ask, because we have some people here, if anyone wants to sort of ask a question, or Tammy, I don't know if someone can chime in and speak.
Yeah, there is a question. It's nice at the beginning to breathe together. Could we do this again and try to connect to the light inside all together? So, but before we go to that, so you can see at the bottom of your screen, the Q&A, you can click on that and bring that up. But I was also thinking, because you talked about meetings, and the 12 step is having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. And so often I see people, and you probably do too, that get stuck. I don't want to do that terrible step 4, because that's so unpleasant. Not understanding how freeing that is, and that the first 9 steps bring us to the freedom and ultimately, that the spiritual experience, which obviously for me has been the point of recovery. We're not promised that everything's going to be great. We're not even promised that we'll be relieved of our addiction. I still identify as an addict, not as a recovered addict. I never use that phrase. I just like that scares me to even use it, because like I will think I have, oh, I got this in my back pocket, and I'll probably be out tomorrow relapsing. That would be terrifying to me.
Oh. Hello?
Because it's not, oh, it's my, can you see me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. Yeah, I got, my internet connection is unstable. Oh, well.
Okay.
But I wish they could just get a glimmer of what recovery can be. And it's not all, the excitement and, adrenaline and chaos that addiction is, but it's this, it's living life truly and living congruently, and I think in alignment with that, that light, that higher power, that's what's been, important for me. So.
Yes, completely. So if anyone wants to chime in, raise your hand or put something in the chat box, we'd love to, or the Q&A or chat box, we'd love to hear your thoughts and support you if there's anything specific. So to get a little more practical, especially as we are in the holiday season, which can be it just is true, like it or not. It's a challenging time for normal folks, and it's a challenging time for addicts. And but it's also a magical time. It's also a time that can be truly an opportunity to get out of ourselves and to, because that's one of the gifts, the 12th step really talks about becoming a place where we help other people, where we just share and give ourselves and help other people, be it by sharing our story. Maybe they need help of the program. But I extend even further. I just say to my higher power in the morning, just for today, use me. Please use my heart, use my hands, use my voice, use my smile, excuse me, use me to be of service to somebody else. And it really, the core of that spiritual practice, and I do consider that to be a spiritual practice, is getting out of myself, getting out of my stinking thinking, getting out of my self-obsession, getting out of the victim mentality, because the addict in me loves to talk to me about what a victim I am and who's doing something to me and what's not fair about life. And if I ruminate around those ideas long enough, it just gets darker and darker and darker on the inside. I get more and more disconnected. And at that point, I'm just miserable. And so to begin opening that up, is just where can I be of service? Where can I give a helping hand? And I kind of make it my goal each day, and it is heightened during the holiday season. There's got to be something I can do. Give $1 to someone who needs $1. I don't care. If I'm going through the grocery store line and I haven't had an opportunity, nothing's come my way today, make sure to tell the person, the cashier, how grateful I am or something wonderful about them. Like, I really work at keeping it fresh before me, extending my love energy, extending a compliment or a helping hand. And even just look at that word. To extend means to go out of you, to come out of you, and to go outward, which includes your focus. And that's where that's where the shifting begins, because the extension of doing something for someone extends your focus out of yourself. And even for a moment, the self-obsession is not active, or the fear or whatever it is that might have you contracted and, fueling the addictive thoughts, helping another person. And that is one of the cornerstones of the 12-step program is we cannot keep what we don't give away. And this to me doesn't mean wait until you've completed all 12 steps and you've had this spiritual awakening and now you can walk out there in the world and defy gravity. This is what can I start giving away today? And that really is the, I don't know, that's my focus. And that's the invitation I want to extend to those of you listening, either here live or later, is during this month, especially during this last month of 2019, where there's a lot of activity and a lot of holidays and easy for us to get off center, make the simple things really mean a lot. And I don't mean out there, I mean inside of me. I really make the simple ways of giving of myself be my focus. So that's my charge for our time together this month, is to let's really, and I invite you to set an intention for yourself. If you got a whole list of problems, but I got to focus on this, but you don't understand this is, I do understand. But I promise you, one of the best things you can do for yourself is just be open to help another in great and small ways. So,
and I agree. Early in the program, someone was sharing at a meeting, and I'm pretty sure it was directed at me. You're a real small package if you're all wrapped up in yourself. And I remember taking a few minutes to think about that. And then it finally, it probably took me more than a few minutes, but it really is. It's like, if I'm so focused on myself, and I think particularly in early recovery, it's vitally important to do things that are outside of ourselves, because we don't have the tools. We're confused. We're like going, oh my gosh, the addiction is calling, so to just start doing those simple things. I shared on a meeting earlier this week about gratitude. For me, it's I do gratitude lists. I love focusing on gratefulness, because if I can't be focused on all the negativity. And if I'm focused on gratitude, I'm probably walking around more with a smile on my face, which I try to engage people, even if I'm out walking my dog or, whatever, I try to, hi, I yell across the street, but like, I don't know if it matters, but, I guess I think it does, because people, respond, and, often they smile back. And anything like you're talking about with the cashiers, I try to actively engage, people. I thank the bathroom attendants at the airport, because I'm like, these are people that are, often invisible.
yeah.
Does it makes me feel better about myself to acknowledge another human being. Because I've now gotten out of myself, and I'm not just focused on me, so any little thing that I can do that, I can do is just doing something nice in the world. To me, that is a victory, because gosh, when I was in my addiction, I was all about me and all about, how am I going to get to do the next, whatever. So that's victory, just focusing on something else.
Absolutely. And I wrote your comment down, whatever that was. I
I'm
heard that
a
one.
real
Real
small
small
package if
package.
I'm all wrapped up in myself.
Oh, I love that.
That was that I can't credit it to myself. I can't even remember who shared it, but it was an older timer at the meeting that I remember where I was sitting. That tells you how impactful it was. I was like, oh, so so when you have those moments where you go, oh, there was another one where someone said, yeah, I was banging my high chair. And again, I remember and thinking, oh my gosh, they don't understand. But, I remember exactly where I was sitting I remember who said that one. So yes, pivotal moments. Thank goodness there was wisdom at the tables that helped me grow up. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a question. It says, I feel my spouse lives in darkness and he likes it there because after some crushing experiences, he resists change or recovery. Can you speak about this?
My pause is, and this is part of all of our addictions, is I can't speak about it because he's not here. So, it's easy to make other people my problem and focus on them. Well, they're being this way, but that is a trap for me. And it's hard because it's a very seductive trap. It's like, when my partner gets his shit together, then X, Y, and Z. But what happens is that becomes my excuse and my focus. So to speak to it, and I think this next experience I'm going to give us is going to make a difference. Send him positive love. Let him be who he is. What if just for today, he is being perfect? Exactly as he is, he's got his own higher power. He's living his own life. It doesn't look good to you. It might not feel good to you. But the fact of the matter is, over there is a higher power, because that higher power is in every single person. So now I can leave that person alone. And believe me, our husbands, our wives, our lovers, our closest ones, our closest friends and family are the biggest challenges, but also our biggest breakthroughs. And then it's like, so what about me? What am I needing and wanting today? If I leave them alone, now I've got to just face me. And what am I not giving myself? What am I lacking that I may think he is responsible for? There's a whole inquiry that becomes available over here. There's rich opportunity for me with me. But that's what I want to avoid. That's the rough spot. It's like, but I want to focus on them. I want them to be the problem today. So I guess now that I've talked through the process of like, I can't talk about him, this is really the gift for you and for me is there is no other person. That is our problem, really. And when we release them and get inside ourselves, we may have to make some harder choices. We may have to speak our truth, which we've been avoiding doing. We may have to leave particular relationships that we don't want to leave. I mean, the hard work begins sometimes when we actually come back to ourselves, because that's where it's like, oh, my discontent is because I'm not telling my truth, or I'm not doing whatever I'm doing. So for today, leave your husband alone, bless him. This is the word I use. Bless him, send him love. Trust that his higher power is there, and then say, my higher power, where do you want me to focus today? And then ask your higher power to help you. Ask the God of your being or the God of your recovery to lead you into what is yours to do today. That's the breakthrough. And I promise you, if you will focus there and begin shifting your energy and your focus, leaving that other person alone, you're going to look back and they're going to start to change, or they're going to do it. There's something magical will happen when you give that person over to God. So that's my thought on that. I do want to do a little experience for us today that will help you also in beginning your day. You can Google this, by the way. It's called the Loving Kindness Meditation. It's a very popular one. You may have heard of it, but it's very simple. And we're going to do it 3 times, and it will take about 4 minutes to do that. But this is something that I hope you can take with you, and you can do this often. I mean, this meditation is a way of giving. You don't ever need to leave or go out anywhere. You don't need to go rescue someone from a falling building. You can give of yourself in meditation. And we're going to have that experience right now. So may I move into that now, Tammy? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to invite you to join me in closing your eyes, if that's comfortable. And take a nice deep breath and exhale. Relaxing the shoulders. And move my shoulders a little bit, even roll them back so they can relax. Another nice deep breath through the nose. And exhale, blowing it out. And a third time, breathing in through the nose. And exhale. And for a moment, focus your attention in your mind's eye, which means just where images appear. And just imagine a blank screen, like you're sitting at a movie theater and you're just looking at the white screen before any trailer or commercials come on. You're just there by yourself, looking at a white screen, which represents a blank, empty mind. And appearing on that screen, a shadow of someone begins to appear, and they become more and more clear as they say to you, this person is someone that you just feel neutral about. It's someone that is like maybe a cashier at a grocery store, or the post person, or someone that you know, a neighbor. You don't have any feelings, great or small, in either direction. Just kind of a neutral person in your world. They don't rattle you. They don't trigger you. Allow someone to appear on the screen or in your mind's eye. And if no one appears, just imagine the shadow of a being there, just someone. And as they appear, say to them, inside yourself, to them, say, may your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. Say it again. May your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. And imagine them receiving these words as we say it a third time. May your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. And just imagine that person receiving that kindness, and they dissolve and disappear. And now allow someone to come to mind who does trigger you. And they can be at a distance in your mind, it's fine. Someone doesn't have to be like the greatest trigger, but just someone that maybe currently is irritating you, or you've got an upset with, or maybe you've got an old resentment or a broken relationship. I've got a friend that comes to mind I haven't spoke to for a couple of years. She's coming to mind right now, so I'm going to see her in my mind's eye. And I invite you to see someone where you experience upset. And just see them in your mind, just at a distance, so they're not triggering you. And we say to them, may your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. May your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. And a third time, may your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. And imagine that person receiving those affirmations, and they receive them in their heart. They just kind of dissolve and disappear. And the third time, I want you to see your mind looking at you. See you either as you are today, or at whatever age shows up for you, whatever image of yourself appears. And share the kind of the act part of me is showing up, kind of a broken man part of me. I welcome that. And that's the perfect part for me to say this too. So as you're looking at yourself, say to yourself this image. May your life be filled with happiness and well-being. May your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. And a third time, may your life be filled with happiness, health, So that is a really lovely and easy way to focus your mind. It's a wonderful meditation practice because it combines being inward and extending yourself. Just sending thought blessings is the way I think about it. Thoughts of kindness, it's really, and again, just to reiterate, you can Google that. You can find it on YouTube, by the way, where you just can play it and you'll be led through it perfectly. It's loving kindness meditation. Really, really nice way to center yourself, beginning of your day, middle of your day, end of your day, whenever you need it. Eventually, I like to have a little toolbox of all these different quick centering practices or things that I can do just in my car for a few minutes or wherever I am when I'm feeling contracted or feeling upset, I can use some of these tools to reconnect me to my spirit. So I hope you enjoyed that practice, and I hope that you'll consider doing that over the upcoming month, especially during the holiday season. It's a great way to extend love.
I really like that. And please, if you're in the car driving, don't close your eyes. But if you, I like that you started with somebody neutral. That was really, that was very helpful. And then to the more triggering, and I ended up with 2 people that were really triggering. So that was interesting. I was like, I can do this for 2. So,
Yes.
but yeah, but honestly, I feel different than before that. So I'm grateful for that experience. So it's a very practical tool. And yes, in a highly stressful and compressed holiday season, any tool that we can use to recenter and have positivity is a good thing.
Absolutely. Prayer and meditation are the key practices to the 12-step program. And both of those things, people often don't know how to do it. So we just had a meditation experience. It's very, very simple. And again, the beauty of our world today is go to YouTube. Enter loving kindness meditation. You'll have more options than you know to do it. Then grab one that's short so you can lead you through it. So that completes it for me today, my friend Tammy. If there's nothing else.
I'm so grateful to see you again. So we'll look forward to doing this. Now, I did notice that January 1st is the first of it. So we'll have to talk. We can talk off the line and decide. I'm willing if you are, but it's all good. So it will be for those of you joining us.
I'm good.
Okay.
We'll say yes.
We're going to start our New Year's together. It'll be awesome. So yeah.
A perfect day to do it.
Okay, so for those of you joining, I hope you'll join us on January 1st of 2020. We'll make it a great start to the new year with some mindfulness. We'll start less stressed and more mindful. So good. Thank you all for joining us. And Kristen Snowden will be on next week, so join then. But like I said, so great to see you. And I won't see you till January 1st, so have a great Christmas holiday.
You too. Peace and love, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.